guys, today I'm going to be doing a review on the first two books in the Beautifully Broken series, and they are If You Stay and If You Leave by Courtney Cole. This is going to be a non-spoiler review, so if you have not yet read the books, then you're not going to be spoiled, and I'm going to talk about both of these without spoiling the other for you, so yes. Again, as usual, I have my notes here. I don't have any notes though on If You Leave, so if this video is kind of weird and awkward, then it's because I didn't make notes for that one. I'm kind of trying to experiment this time. If any of you guys watched my, I think it was my mid-August wrap-up, I talked about this book, If You Stay, which is the first one. It follows two characters, Pax and Mila. It is told from dual perspectives, and basically Pax is not a very nice guy. He kind of sleeps around. He does some pretty heavy drugs. He uses them to cope. So this book begins with a drug overdose, and Pax overdoses in his car, and Mila happens to be walking to her car in the same parking lot and finds him and calls an ambulance, and he dies almost, and she saves his life. And so he's pretty much indebted to her, but he has had kind of some really crazy stuff happen in his childhood that he's never really dealt with. He's kind of blocked it out, so he doesn't remember it, and so he really doesn't know what happened in his childhood. His mother died when he was young, and because of all of this, he hasn't really learned to deal with it or anything like that, so that kind of is where his douchebaggery comes from. And when he meets Mila, he just is immediately drawn to her. She saved his life, so he feels super indebted to her, and so after coming to thank her several times, he kind of is attracted to her initially, and so he wants to take her out, but he wants to do more than just sleep with her for some reason, which is not something that he's ever wanted to do. So she knows his reputation, she knows who he is, she obviously saved him from a drug overdose. So this book is kind of about, you know, like him figuring out what happened in his childhood and her helping him get past those things, but also their relationship growing because neither of them are really good at relationships, and obviously he's never really had one. Anyway, that's the premise for this book. And then this book is about Mila's sister Maddie and this other guy Gabe. So Maddie and Gabe meet at a club one night, and they are instantly attracted to each other, and he's taking her home so that they can hook up real quick and just a one-night stand kind of thing. But something happens on the way there that is kind of a big deal, and it stops them, and so they don't end up hooking up. A few days later, or the next day or something like that, they end up meeting again, and their kind of relationship starts from there. In this book, both of them have some really heavy baggage that neither of them have really dealt with yet, whereas in this book, obviously both of them have some baggage, but Pax is way more than Mila's, and in this book it's really more Mila trying to help Pax with his problems, and also him kind of changing when he meets her. In this book, it's both of them trying to help each other with their problems, so it's a little bit more equal playing field on this one, I should say. These books really surprised me. This one especially, because I was not expecting to like it. After I liked this one, I wasn't surprised that I was gonna like this one, but this book I did not want to like. I hadn't heard a lot about it, and so I was kind of just expecting that either I would not like it or I would just think it was okay. And especially because it opens with a drug overdose, I immediately didn't like Pax. I kind of hated him. The drug overdose is really graphic, so it was kind of a lot for me at first, but I actually really appreciated it the more I got into the book. Courtney Cole does such a good job of dealing with such a heavy topic. She didn't shy away from that, which I thought was really awesome. As I said, I was not planning on liking this book. I tried to find things that were wrong with it, but I really couldn't. I really loved this book. I thought the story was just so deep and so sweet, and while it did have its cheesy moments, I just thought this book was so amazing. I love how supportive they are of one another, and I love how real it seemed and how honest, and there's some really crazy shit that happens in this book, and I just really appreciate how it was done by the author, and I thought she did such an amazing job. I hated Pax at first, and I ended up coming to really love him because Mila made him better. She made him want to be better, which is, I think, what is really important. The only thing about this book that I found a little strange was kind of how Mila talked to Pax sometimes. I know that the dialogue in writing like a book is different than how dialogue is written in a script. I learned about that in my screenplay writing class. But I noticed that even for book dialogue, Mila would sometimes talk to Pax more like she was writing to him than speaking to him. I tried to kind of picture how it would sound, like hearing the words out loud, and I just feel like sometimes they just sounded a little too formal. She kind of talked a little too much, more like she was writing to him than speaking to him. That being said, I loved the way they talked to each other. I loved that Mila knew how to joke with him and their back and forth banter with each other. I thought it was super cute. I also loved how Mila handled Pax's problems. She never tried to force him to change or anything like that, and when he said that he wanted to stop using drugs and stuff, she told him that she didn't want him to stop using them if he was just doing it for her. She wanted him to do everything for himself, which I thought was really great, and I loved that she handled things that way. I think that's the right way to handle them, to be honest. I found their relationship to be very sweet and very supportive, and I really loved them both. I really loved both characters. Under Mila, all I wrote on my paper was so cute. I just thought she was really sweet and really lovable, and I didn't find her annoying or anything like that. As far as Pax, I didn't really like him at first, but you really come to love him and you realize that he's got a lot of baggage and stuff, and so you kind of start to feel sorry for him and you really come to love him as the story goes on, and you see how he treats Mila, and he's just so sweet and misunderstood. He's a better guy than everybody thinks, and I really, really liked that about him. A few people also said that he was borderline abusive, and I didn't think that at all. I looked for that in the story because people said that. I didn't see that at all. Didn't see the borderline abusive at all, so I don't think that's something you guys need to worry about if you're sensitive to that. As far as Madison, it's funny that I wrote about her on this because I didn't know the next story was about her until I read the next story, but I didn't really like her at first just because she was really judgy about Pax and she was kind of trying to convince Mila not to be with him. But I think that even though this wasn't her story, she really developed throughout the story, you know, like for example learning not to judge somebody before you meet them and stuff, and I just really liked Pax and Maddie's relationship. I really liked how they came to become closer as well. Something I thought was really interesting between the books was reading from the female siblings' point of view. For instance, it's about Mila in the first book, and then you read from Maddie's point of view in the second book. It's just interesting to see how they observe each other, because in the first book, Mila admires Maddie and how Mila isn't like Maddie, but Maddie's qualities are perfect because Maddie is tall and blonde and model-like, and she's super jealous of that. But then in the second book, Maddie admires the fact that Mila is petite and dark-haired, dark-skinned, and adorable and stuff like that, and they both are like kind of jealous of each other in that way. So when you're reading it, you kind of have this one picture in your head, and then you read from the other sibling and you see, wow, they kind of think the same way. Like, that was just really interesting to be in their heads that way. That was something I found really interesting between the two books. I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars. Sorry if the angle just changed, my memory card died. But anyway, I can't say what exactly about this book made me not give it 5 stars, but I just felt like there was just something about it, something missing that I don't know. I love this book, but it just wasn't my most favorite. I just felt like there was something missing that, you know, made me not give it 5 stars, but I still thought it was super amazing, obviously. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about If You Leave. This is gonna be a little bit more difficult because I don't have any notes to go off of, but I enjoyed this one more than the first, even though I loved both. I gave this one 4.75. I really, really enjoyed this book. Pax and Mila from this book are very prominent in this book, which I really enjoyed. We got to see a lot of them, and especially we got to see Maddie interact with Pax a lot more. I love their friendship. I thought that that was really sweet. This book was, I feel like it felt darker because both characters have baggage, but the guy's baggage in this book is way different than Pax's baggage, and so it was really dark, but I don't know which one was darker just because the baggage is so different. The stories are different. This one deals with Gabe, the guy. He has retired from the Army Rangers very young because of something that happened, and so you kind of spend a lot of the book waiting to figure out what that is and finding out how he's dealing with it and waiting for him to tell somebody about it. I found that was really interesting to have a little bit of a military aspect to this book because, you know, PTSD is a really big deal and he didn't really know how to deal with it. So that was a really interesting aspect of this book. It also made it really heartbreaking and really sad. This book was really sad at points, and I felt really bad for both characters, but I really loved how they were both each other's support systems, because even though they were both having trouble dealing with things and couldn't take their own advice, they were able to give it to each other and help each other through their problems, which I just thought was so romantic and so sweet. There's really not a ton to say. I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed both of these books. I am not yet going to go on to the third book in the series, but I would like to continue with the series. I am really excited because all of these books have surprised me so much, but I really enjoyed both of these. I definitely recommend that you pick them up. If you didn't like this one, I recommend that you go on to this one because I know a lot of people like this one better, but I really think both of these are really good. I've not heard a ton about them. I've heard a little bit, but not a ton. My library happened to have both of these, which is random because I haven't heard like anything about them, but I definitely recommend that you check these out. They're really good. What can it hurt? You kind of fly right through them because they're, you know, I mean, these are really quick reads. They're thin and you fly right through them. I would definitely recommend that you check them out. I like to read books that aren't very well talked about because then if they surprise me, then I'm really excited and I just want to share them with you guys. The sexual content in these is pretty graphic, so if you're not really into that, you might not like this, and there is quite a bit of it in both books, so that is something to note. I really enjoyed those sexual scenes. I didn't think that they felt overdone. I mean, there's only so many different ways that you can do it and so many different ways that you can write it, but I thought Courtney Cole did a really good job with those, and I just thought these books were really sweet. You don't, both these guys, you look at them and you don't think that they're gonna be super sweet, but both girls bring out that side in them, which I think is just so romantic and so fun, and their banter back and forth in both books is just, it's so fun, and I really enjoyed both, and I would definitely recommend that you read them. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope some of you check it out. If you've read these books, please leave a comment and let me know what you thought. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all very soon with another video. Bye everyone!